Aloha, friends and neighbors. Rollin Frost here, Kona Astrologer. We're going to do program 1090 and cover the last week in October 2017. Before I get started on the show, let's talk birds for a minute, can we? The thing that Hawaii is most famous for, besides Hawaiians, are birds. Yes, a profusion of birds. The reason was that we're out here in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and the only animals and things that really got here across 2,000-3,000 miles of Pacific were birds. So this was a bird paradise, until the Polynesians showed up 1,000 or 2 years ago, and the Polynesians brought rats and pigs and dogs and people, and what they found was big, huge geese and all kinds of huge, large birds walking around on the ground. They forgot how to fly. They evolved into niches in the islands, and there was no predators. And so why fly around if there's nothing to, chase you on the ground? At any rate, the bird system in Hawaii is unique. And a lot of the species that have gone extinct have been Hawaiian birds. So I got into this accidentally in a way, and I'm going to continue it a little bit. I would tell you that I've been doing a regular Wednesday show at 5:30 on Channel 53 on the Big Island about birds. Every month I change it. And so you still got a chance to watch the last chapter 7, I think. Channel 53, 5:30 p.m. Wednesday. Check it out. More on birds. Now, one of the reasons I'm talking about birds is just drawing up the sky mirror, and my son came in and plopped down this magazine, Island Scene. They send it to you, and here's Mayor Harry Kim. And I have a lot of affection for Harry. The last time he was in office, I had some friends in his office and things, and they asked him what he was most interested in at the end of his last government term. And Harry, bless his heart, said, I'm really interested in birds. So, what happened was, a couple of weeks ago, they had a bird fest in Kona. And all the biggies in birds came along. And the mayor was there, and he was going to give a talk. So I gave them all DVDs with the first 4 programs on the Hawaiian raven and the Hawaiian goose, and, cases of mistaken identity. But this thing got me going here this morning. Why? Because look at there. The mayor liked having this picture taken with this duck. Almost looks like he's on a surfboard. So anyway, the mayor got my DVD. I gave out about 15 of them to the speakers and the guests and things at the Hawaiian Bird Fest. And the mayor got them. I hope he's looked at them. And I hope maybe the mayor would pitch in. Because what needs to be done is, we need to talk to the folks at DLNR and the bird sanctuary over by Volcano, and the San Diego Zoo people in charge of the bird thing. And main thing is, we need to ask for a moratorium. A moratorium on releasing more ravens into the wild. Those are bad words. They're not releasing them into their natural habitat. They're throwing them out of their homes into, a scruffy forest that isn't near anything like what they evolved in before Polynesians got here. Now, after Polynesians got here 1,500, 2,000 years ago, of course, these birds went domestic because all the other geese and all the other ravens were gone. Hawaiians picked these 2 very special birds and brought them into their homes. Yeah. And so for over 1,000 years, they're in the homes. And Mr. Mayor, once he understands that, and I think he's very wise about birds, maybe he'd chip in with his voice and tell the Keauhou Bird Sanctuary, we want a moratorium on releasing these ravens. Let's put more study into it. Let's think it out a little bit before we sacrifice another dozen of our very precious gene pool stock. This is my favorite picture. This is from the Hawaiian Airlines magazine. The photo's by Jack Wolford. And here he is. He's not a crow, he's a raven. He's not wild, he was a domestic pet. Okay? So its native habitat was to live in somebody's house. Yes. Now, ravens are the smartest of all the birds. Bird scientists agree on that. And this alala, the Hawaiian ravens, has a larger vocabulary than all these other ravens. And it's got 1,000 years of living with humans to sharpen its words vocabulary, and these are really smart birds. So ravens are the smartest of birds. This is the smartest of the raven. That's what's at stake here, folks. And it's a Hawaiian domestic pet. The goose was too, the nene. But they're much easier. Than they released some geese. The geese said, screw this, and they went to the golf courses. The geese aren't living in the wild either. They're going where the grass is. And they'll survive on golf courses. It'd be easier if they were off the endangered species list and on to something else so that people could feed them and make sure they survive and keep the predators off them. And this is the same thing for our friend here, the raven, is that, scientists over there are releasing them and they're killing them because they don't understand they're domestic pets. You wouldn't throw your Cocker Spaniel out into the forest and expect them to survive. And they're doing young birds too, So take a 6-year-old child and put him out in the forest. That's what these guys have, an IQ like a 6-year-old. But they were raised in a cage. And forcing them out into the wild is making them homeless. And this needs to be thought over. So if Mr. Mayor would assist, and anybody else, especially Hawaiian groups, call these people up at the bird sanctuary over in Keauhou and DLNR and San Diego Zoo, the people who watch over this program, and anybody else who's interested in birds, and ask them to vote for a moratorium, no more releases of these ravens until they rethink their program. I mean, hotels, yeah, great. Hawaiian homes, yeah, great. There's a lot of zoos all over. These guys don't mind living in small places. That's the way they evolved for the last 1,000 years. And they live best on trash. The study showed that the birds on the Mojave Desert, a bunch of them ate arachnids, a bunch of them ate lizards, a bunch of them ate this and that and this and that. And when they got to the bunch that lived off the trash dump, whoa, of course they probably get rats. That's their favorite food, baby rats. The girl over at the bird sanctuary, Keauhou, told me that. So anyway, if they could, there are more babies fledged out with that group of ravens that lived on human trash rather than on some wild, bunch of food out there. Much more successful. So that's another place that you could put some ravens, is out on the landfills, and they'd probably thrive out there if you gave them a place to nest that was up off the ground and rat-proof. You got to keep the rats from eating the eggs and the babies. But mongooses, etc., cats, with a safe nesting space, they get along fine out there. I watched the ravens along the highway to Las Vegas. You drive LA to Las Vegas, And wow, they're foraging. There's always a pair foraging along the highway. And when you get to the truck stop, there was a dozen in pairs hanging out there, begging food from the truckers. Most of the truckers have little dogs, and so they give them a little dog food, and the ravens are all happy. So they learn to beg for food at the truck spot. They learn to go over every little old McDonald's wrapper along the highway and take it apart for things. The ravens along that highway, they're smart. So I've seen them operate in the so-called wild. Of course, this was a highway across the Mojave, the wild those ravens were at. Same raven species, the common raven that harasses the big birds over the canyon and stuff. Anyway, the raven here needs help, folks. Tell these people we need a moratorium on any more releases. They need to rethink their philosophy. So how did I get involved with this? Well, I was studying the games of Hawaii. I was studying Captain Cook because my studies involve humanity, environmental health, and different humanities in different environments and how they adapt and things. And so Captain Cook went around the world doing that kind of work. And when he got to Hawaii, oh boy, what interesting stuff. Hawaiians kind of demonize Cook, but they should read him because there's wonderful stuff about Hawaiians, how healthy and happy they were. They could swim like fish, Cook wrote. 80-year-old ladies think nothing of jumping overboard and swimming in when we're still a mile out. And 8-year-old girls. What's more, he said, the water is alive with sharks, and yet nobody seems to get bit. I cannot understand it, he said. It must be due to the nimbleness of the natives. So here Cook, he saw people in the water everywhere, all over the Pacific, lots of different cultures. There were water people. And here he pulls in, and Hawaiians are getting along great with sharks. Pet sharks. So along with my readings, studying Konane and some other things, I picked up a lot of odd information. And one of the things had to do with 200,000 people lived along the Kona coast of the Big Island. He counted the rooftops from offshore from his ship, multiplied by 7 or 8. 200,000 people lived along the Kona coast. Healthy people. They did have a caste system that was quite strict. There was the elites and there was the commoners. But they were pretty healthy, and compared to other people Cook had seen. He didn't see cleft lips and hunchbacks and cripples, and no. So anyway, 200,000 people lived along the Kona coast of the Big Island, he wrote in his journal. And the most common house pet was a large black bird. Well, that stuck in my memory, just like the way they made pets out of sharks. And then I discovered the whole program of the Alala, of the Sacred Raven, in this book, which is done by a wonderful author who spent years, Mark Walters, spent years researching this and living it and got to know all the people. This is a drama. This book, if you're interested in the Raven, boy, get it. Seeking the Sacred Raven, Politics and Extinction on a Hawaiian Island. Now, by the time Mark got done writing this, they were down to just a few birds and locked up in politics. And that one, he was very pessimistic. He didn't think the Raven would ever make it. Now we got like 100 birds. Oops, they just killed 4 or 5. Now they're about to do a dozen, trying to throw them into the forest. So there's still politics and extinction problems. Government people who know nothing about birds are in charge of this so-called program. Reintroduce them to the wild. There's no more wild. That's not where you want to reintroduce them to their environment. Put them in Hawaiian hollies. Now listen up, Hawaiians. This was the most common house pet. You had the smartest bird in the world as your buddy. Yeah, these are nice ravens. Somebody took the bite out of them. Common ravens don't make good pets. Boy, they're tough. They hurt. One guy said it's like having a flying 3-year-old with a steak knife, a flying toddler with a steak knife. So these ravens, they've been domesticated. The Hawaiians did it for us. And to have government scientists who don't think about, all they think about is, oh, we said we were going to release them, and they're trying to do it, and they fail and fail and fail. Some of them think that they did a good job on the goose, but they didn't. The goose just went to all the grassy, golf courses. So this, what is this, rice bowl politics? A moratorium. We need a moratorium. Don't release more ravens. Think it through. Consider their domestic house pets. Okay, back to astrology. This is Friday. Usually I watch some Ancient Aliens, but the hypocrisy is so thick. They insist on turning planets into gods and ancient people into stupid natives. And sometimes I just can't take it. Nobody will use the word astrology. No. Instead they... Oh, ye hypocrites, what Jesus said. So, what's going on for you in the sky mirror? By the way, the sky mirror is an original invention of mine to portray what's happening in the sky in this fashion is my invention. I've been doing it for 25 years or something. And you can see right away, you're sitting on a Thursday show, you're on the new moon. This is a new moon that opposes Uranus. So, this you're not going to like Uranus. It's going to be really tough on me. Really tough on me. If any of you are rich out there, send me a little donation. Send me something. I need a little help here. And this month following this new moon is going to be my most difficult until 3-4 months from later. At any rate, you're sitting over here now on Thursday, on the 19th. You're on the new moon. Yes. And let's see, if this is Thursday, it goes to about here. Well, it happens in the middle of the day. Thursday is your full moon day. Watch your electricals, motors that go. The new moon is there on Jupiter too. See Jupiter? So normally, even without astrology, you could say, well, you got a new moon in Jupiter. That's a lot of gravity pulling in one direction. Those are the big gravity guys. If they're all pulling in one way, what do you get? Earthquakes. You get extra high tides, low tides, all that water presses the plates up and down. So this is a quaky month, and you're sitting on Thursday, on the 19th of October, in the middle of the quake zone. Sometimes you get whirlies, hurricanes and tornadoes, but I think this is quake time. So, feel a little shaky? Well, we're all feeling a little shaky. And the earth is feeling a little shaky. That's why it's a sky mirror. What happens up above happens below, but it's a mirror, no causation implied. Let's check it out. Let's look at the details of it. Here's the moon. We're running moon around the edge. And there Thursday night, the moon hits Jupiter. And it all pulls in the same direction. So this is a gravity event, besides having a quirky astrology. And a lot of power outages, maybe just due to rains, monsoons. Because Jupiter is shock. He likes thunder and lightning and rain. So you're bringing rain. Maybe that's an excuse for not having power, the opposition to Uranus. Uranus is electricity. Let's talk about Friday. Moon's in Scorpio. As soon as the moon goes into Scorpio, hits Jupiter here, late Thursday night, starts to feel different. All day Friday, the moon's in Scorpio. In the afternoon, there's a nice trine to Neptune. There's music. There's color and art, and you can have faith and believe in things. Religion, art, music. Find a good drug. There's a discovery vibe here Tuesday night, about 9-10 o'clock when the moon sextiles Pluto. And so you could learn some new things. Discovery. Pluto likes that. He's Sherlock Holmes. Moon in Scorpio, too. So Friday starts out being very talkative. The moon's on Mercury. And then becomes inspired in the middle of the day. Then discovery at the end of the day. Saturday, you're still in discovery a bit, thinking about Pluto. The moon's still in Scorpio. And the heroes are out, and it's sports time. Mars is there. The military's all over, and the sports guys are all over the... This is Saturday, October 21st, in the evening. You got energy, huh? Get out there and fix something. Be prepared for high winds. And do something to mediate the damage. And this starts kind of a sexy period, because here's Venus. Now, they're kind of far apart now. They're about 10 degrees apart, so first you get kind of lusty and even a little angry and a lot of testosterone Saturday night. And sharps and hots. And then by the time you get to Sunday, well, the moon shifts into Sagittarius Sunday morning, early. So you wake up, it's Sagittarius time, hooray, and now Venus is there Sunday night. Here's the sweets, here's the sex, here's the pleasure. Grab it when you can. Here about midnight, 1 a.m., is a square to Neptune. So the girls and the pleasure seekers could get lost here and have more trouble. Some care is needed. I had to talk more about that in a little bit, about what happened in Las Vegas, the Neptune land. So there's confusion and delusion Sunday night, Monday morning, concerns about water. Goes through Monday as you're going up to Saturn. Here's restriction and limitations. Laws, politicians, playing politics. It's a tough time. It's no fun at all. Late Monday night, moon in Sag. But Tuesday morning, the moon hits the trine to Uranus. And common sense pops up. Hooray! And then Tuesday afternoon and evening, here's a sextile to the sun. The sun's gone into Scorpio now. And the moon's in Capricorn. The last half of Tuesday. Feels pretty good, huh? Yeah. Wednesday, the moon's still in Capricorn. And trouble is there's a square to Venus here in the middle of the day, in the early afternoon. No sweets, no rest, no pleasure, sorry. And then comes the sextile to Neptune. Music, art, priest, artist, doctor, musicians, color. I don't know if it'll satiate somebody who couldn't get their sugar. I mean, will it help to pray? I'm not sure. It's funny, Ben Franklin said, if you survive a shipwreck, don't give your money to build a church. Build a lighthouse. And after Las Vegas, I see everybody going to their church. They should be setting up for a physical thing, some science to prevent this, like a lighthouse. And that's the discovery for Wednesday night. The moon goes by Pluto. It's late. This is 12 o'clock, maybe 1 a.m. Thursday morning as the moon goes by Pluto. Discovery, some new things. Kind of nice. But you're going into the quake zone. Yeah, moon in Capricorn. As you get to late Thursday night, here's the moon squaring Uranus and the new moon point, and you're off in the quake zone again. Pretty much like you were on Thursday the 19th. Well, here's the 26th, and things are shaky. And there's lunacy around. Yeah. About Uranus. What, you don't like homeless people? Have you ever been homeless? Jeez. Ha ha ha. I can tell you stories. Once when I was... Oh, never mind. We got to finish this up. Here we go. Friday, the 27th, moon shifts into Aquarius. Nice trine to Mars. Get up and get physical. Put your ambitions aside, though. There's a square to the sun. Saturday, the 28th, the moon is in Aquarius still. And in the afternoon, there's a nice trine to Venus. There's some pleasure and fun, relaxation. Look out, though. The moon goes by the south node. That's where it was in the fatal massacre in Las Vegas. Moon on the south node. People need help here Saturday night. There's a lot of freedom and independence early Sunday morning when the moon sextiles Uranus. Moon's still in Aquarius. So think about what astrology means about then. Yes, it's important. Sunday afternoon, after lunch, the moon shifts into Pisces, and you're going to feel Neptune for a while. Well, I was going to show you the chart of the shooting in Vegas, but it's just well enough I do it next week or the week after. Maybe I'll get a hold of the chart of the guy who did it. But for now, I want to tell you one thing. Mars and Venus were conjunct. Okay? That's young people. That's who it was at the concert, was Mars and Venus. Young people trying to have a good time, Venus. And Venus stumbled into that lunacy zone. See, these are the people. Neptune is music. Yes, and concerts, and everybody's drinking alcohol. What happened? Well, we had Neptune, and Mars and Venus stumbled into the opposition. And at the music concert, Venus, a lot of Venus people died or got wounded. And there was an event on this Neptune-Mars-Venus opposition. Think about this bird thing a little bit, will you? I mean, we're out here in the Hawaiian Islands, and we have the most spectacular, smartest bird in the world. And foolish laws may be putting it into extinction, and we could have saved it. Yep. Call the Keauhou Bird Conservation Center and say, moratorium, please. If just a few people call those folks, they'll realize that they're on a slippery slope